As I stood at the edge of our small, makeshift camp, scanning the horizon for any sign of life, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The desert wasteland stretched out before us like an endless sea, the sun beating down relentlessly. My daughter, Emily, played quietly in the shade of our small tent, oblivious to the sense of unease that had been building inside me for days. I had grown accustomed to the isolation, the silence, but tonight felt different. Tonight, I felt like we were waiting for something to happen. It started with a flash of light on the horizon. I squinted, thinking it was just a mirage. But as I watched, the light grew brighter, illuminating the darkening sky. I felt a shiver run down my spine as a low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing moment. Emily looked up at me, her eyes wide with fear, as a massive object came into view. It was a helicopter, its rotors whipping up clouds of dust as it descended onto the desert floor. I grabbed Emily's hand, pulling her close as the helicopter's doors slid open and a group of men in black suits stepped out. They moved with a purpose, their eyes scanning the surrounding area as if searching for something. I knew I had to get Emily to safety. But as I turned to run, I felt a hand on my shoulder. One of the men spun me around, his eyes locking onto mine with an unnerving intensity. "We've been looking for you," he growled, his voice low and menacing. I tried to shake him off, but he held tight, his grip like a vice. Emily screamed, trying to pull away, but I held her close, trying to shield her from the chaos. The man's eyes flicked to Emily, and for a moment, I thought I saw a glimmer of recognition. "You're the one," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the sound of the helicopter's rotors. "You're the one who's been hiding it." I knew what he was talking about. I had stumbled upon a secret, a discovery that could change the course of human history. It was a secret that could bring about a new era of peace and prosperity. But it was also a secret that could be used to control and manipulate. I had been hiding it for years, keeping it safe from those who would misuse its power. But now, it seemed, I had been found out. The man's grip tightened, and I knew I had to think fast. I pretended to struggle, trying to distract him as I slowly inched my way towards the tent. Emily was crying, her small body trembling with fear. But I kept my eyes locked on the man, trying to read his next move. As he raised his hand to strike me, I made my move, grabbing a nearby rock and slamming it into his chest. He stumbled back, giving me just enough time to grab Emily and make a run for it. We sprinted across the desert, the helicopter's rotors whipping up clouds of dust as it gave chase. I could hear the men shouting, their footsteps pounding the ground behind us. I didn't dare look back, fearing what I might see. Instead, I kept my eyes fixed on the horizon, my heart pounding in my chest. We had to keep moving, had to keep running. As the sun began to set, casting the desert in a golden glow, I spotted a small cave in the distance. I pulled Emily towards it, my legs aching with exhaustion. We stumbled inside, collapsing onto the cool sand as the helicopter's rotors faded into the distance. I wrapped my arms around Emily, holding her close as we caught our breath. But as I looked down at Emily, I knew that our ordeal was far from over. The men would be back, and next time, they wouldn't be so easy to shake. I had to get the secret to safety, had to make sure it didn't fall into the wrong hands. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. We would have to keep running, keep hiding, until we could find a way to reveal the truth without putting ourselves in harm's way. As I looked out into the desert, I knew that our journey was far from over. We would have to face many more challenges, many more dangers, before we could finally find peace. But I was determined to protect Emily, to keep her safe, no matter what it took. And as I held her close, I knew that I would do whatever it took to keep our secret safe, even if it meant sacrificing everything.